I've always been interested in horror films, horror books, stuff, you know, spooky stuff, supernatural stuff, from being a young lad.
When I was 17, I got myself a job as housekeeper, believe it or not, for a local pub.
When I really started getting active in it, I was about 16. One of my uncles had passed away, and I remember going for a lie down in the afternoon, and I wasn't asleep. And I just felt something weird in the house.
Soon started to realise, you know, being in one of the most haunted pubs in the area, that things were going to get a bit dodgy.
So, you know, I got up, went downstairs, and said, Daddy, you know, something weird going on in the house, like, and he goes, what like? I said, I don't know, I just feel as if something's here.
Started having strange feelings when I was walking up the stairs, just experiencing cold shudders, and knowing now what I know through being in the paranormal for a while and being in all these buildings we go to. I know the feeling now of when I know an energy.
A couple of days later, I'm in bed at night time, and I got this overwhelming smell of, it's like a fragrance like snuff. Snuff was an old medicinal powder that they used to use to get rid of vile smells. And next minute, I felt a weight on my legs.
It was a Sunday morning, same old thing, get the cleaner out. Started to hoover up the pub, and I heard a noise, and I looked behind, and the plastic bucket flew across the room.
And I was wide awake at this point, and I just got it into my head, it's my uncle. So I just said, oh, no, you're here now. I said, look, you're not frightening me, but let me go to sleep, you old bugger, you know what I mean? I love you to bits and I miss you.
And it was on the floor, so I thought, oh, it's dropped off the side, you know, must have. Put it back up, carried on hoovering, heard the noise again. It gone again. I thought, this is strange. Picked it back up, put it on top of a fruit machine. Started to hoover, turned around, and I seen it fly across the room.
After that, oof, the weight lifted and the smell went out of the room. And that's what really triggered it.
Probably going back to when I was a child, my parents had come back, they'd walked back from the pub where they used to work at, and they mentioned they'd seen this fireball come out of the sky. Well, come out of a field, I should say, and shoot over one of the local other pubs. Now, whether they had too much to drink, I don't know. But anyway, that's all got me hooked onto it.
I've been a medium, a psychic, since I was about 5. So, you know, all my life I've been drawn into the sort of the paranormal interest, and it is an obsession. It gets to be, wow, is that right? Because there's so many things that happen that are unexplainable.
You know, I'm more sceptical out of the group, but I have been pushed by something. I've heard things with my own ears now. I've not really seen anything visually. You know, just to get something physical or to hear with my own ears makes it more credible, you know, for me personally. I bought different books, obviously, like UFOs, ghosts and stuff like that. And it's just obviously progressed. Tony sort of got into it a few years back, and he says, oh, you got to come along, Stu. And so, yeah, just from there, really.
Tony was doing a project with Haunted Britain, and I've always been supportive of Tony's work and Stu in that. When he used to go out with Leicester Paranormal and just, you know, go to places like Strelly Hall.
They had everything that I wanted to be with. You know, there was each one of these guys had something unique, and I thought I could bring something to the team.
A bit of a friendship, and we used to listen to EVP's reviews over a period of time for different people. It just went on from there, really. And then when Haunted Britain had went its own way, Tony decided that he wanted to do something else and came up with Hauntings of England.
And I thought I could actually bring something to these guys, and as it happens, they're great people, and we sort of gel.
I can obviously say, you know, the Hauntings of England, I wasn't prepared for the amount of experience. I can only say that some of the stuff we've gone through on his episodes. Some people don't get in a lifetime.
Well, it started before we went there. We did some, I did audios for them, like I say, but then I decided, well, I've done all this, I've got to go there. So I went. And to be honest, it still is one of the best places I've been. We've got voices, clear voices. One of us being grabbed in the cupboard every time we went in. I felt a hand come up around the legs, and it happened. I seen an apparition of a lady. It seemed like a lady in a white gown, briefly. Just seen a face in front of me, and that went. But the problem at the time, we wasn't experienced enough in the video side of things to document it.
I watch these other things on the TV, like your Most Hauntings. Basically, you know, I used to like watching that, and then obviously after the first 1 or 2 seasons, you're like, yeah, okay.
You know, this has progressed now to getting the cameras, buying the right kit and doing it the right way.
But you know, now when you're watching them and they're running around screaming that, it's not about that. We're aiming just to bring you like evidence, raw evidence.
I mean, that's the main thing about our team. We're scientific. We're not, you know, anything other than we try to find out the actual facts. Why did that happen? How did it happen? And is it, you know, can we debunk it? Is it within the realms of scientific? Can we prove what it was?
I always liked videoing, but I always looked at it as like a minefield in my mind to do it. But as soon as you get stuck in, it's just like video. It's just like audio reviewing. It's practice, knowing where to cut in and out, and you know, it's like it is a bit of a skill involved in video editing. You know. You've got to do it right, or else it looks cheap. And it was just basically a progression from audio up to video.
We're still looking for answers, but it's real and happening. You know, it isn't. We're not making up as we go along. It's happening, and still now, I often think about the things that I experience.
We're getting a lot faster now, but ideally in the real world of what paranormal investigating, I'd like to do it every week. But you know, we don't do it for money. There's no money involved, so we all have day jobs. We all have our own lives to lead. If it was a paid job, we'd go out every week or probably twice a week and make a full-time job of it. But as it is at the moment, most of us have got really good jobs that we're enjoying, and we can't put any more in it to what we're doing to one a month, which is ideally we'd like to do a bit more, but it's just life, I'm afraid. We get no end of stuff. You know, people think, oh, we get more than, you know, the average, you know, it must be fake. You get it thrown at you. But we could put so much more in that we leave out. So we think, well, it could be one of the team. We don't just put any old thing in, you know. It has to be to a certain standard, you know. But we do tend to get a lot more with the EVP side of it than a lot of people. But I've spent many years surveying white noise. I did it for Bobby Mackey's in America. You know, I was getting all their audio for 2 years nearly, I think, or 18 months. And I was spending most nights going through hours and hours and hours and hours of white noise. If I hear something, I can pick up on it pretty easy, because it's hard to explain. It's not really easy to just pick up EVPs. You can easily miss them, and it does take training. People don't realise. They think, get your recorder, stick it on a software. It's not like that.
It started with me when I was polishing my granddad's war medals. And he died in the First World War. And all I could see was bombs going off, and I was really, well, it's like a video. I thought, this is good. And I thought nothing more about it for a long time. It gets to the stage where you actually think you're either crazy, that you're hearing voices and you're just, you know, you're another J.K. Rowling, you know, writing this down as a story. And then I went to see a very good medium friend of mine, and I said, just want to try and find out a few things about regression. I've got a lot of like dreams and things that I need to just sort out. And then she tested me and did this, you know, test that she did, and she said, actually, you're really good. You know, you're probably one of the best I've come across, and sort of thought, oh, okay, now I've got a goal to go for now. I'm actually not going crazy. It is something. It is a gift, and I just you know, embrace it and work with it.
Moira Furnace was one of the most sort of places which got me thinking, yeah, that's, you know, quite good. Her two, well, it was the same voice, twice, like where they were singing. It was strange, yeah. And then obviously the Guildhall where I was pushed as well.
We'd had a bit of a team meeting a couple of years back. There were 8 of us talking paranormal, and I took a recorder out, so this must have been all meant to happen. I don't know why I took a recorder out, but I did. And everyone was going to this local graveyard to do a quick session.
We'd been to Lep Castle, and I was walking up these stone circular stairways to get to the bloody chapel, and suddenly this woman flew past me.
And it turned out there was 2 of us went. And all I can explain, it was a cold night and the moon was out. It was quite light.
Just like that. She had blonde hair, but she had half a skull face.
We'd been there 5 minutes and I just asked a couple of questions out, and then suddenly I just seen 2 massive 7-foot tall, looked like humans but stretched humans, black, small heads, long arms.
And apparently that's an elemental, apparently, that was haunting the castle. But on the way up, I pick up all sorts of different things. And one of the names that I picked up around the steps and on the way in was a guy called Seamus, and I got the name Mulligan.
So they just walked 1, 2, 3, but glided like something from the Harry Potter film or something, through the middle of the graves. So me and the lad were there, was a bit in shock, you know, thinking what they're for these. So we approached them, shouted at them, just completely ignored us, just drifted down straight through the middle of the graveyard and went.
And what I did is I write it all on my iPhone. Every name I get, I write down, date, name. And I was sitting with Sean just to debrief what I'd found in the castle. And I mentioned this guy. I said, I picked up a guy called Seamus Mulligan. Well, I said Seamus, and he looked at me and went, "Is that right?" I went, "Yeah, Seamus," and it knocked him a bit.
And we hung around a few minutes and we said that was bizarre, you know, what the hell were they, you know? And then suddenly both of our necks started to burn like sunburn, and we ran that fast. You'd never seen 2 adults trying to get through one gate at the same time. It was unbelievable.
And I said, Mulligan, not O'Mulligan. You'd think being Irish, it'd be O'Mulligan. But I said, no, it's just Mulligan. And he said, okay, what date was it? I said, I don't really know the date yet, but I said, one thing is attached to you.
I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking of them. What are they? And I looked into them, and everything about them was documented on these search engines. You know, the 7-foot, the long arms, the little heads. But apparently they were missing the hats, which are supposedly the really evil ones. So they didn't have a hat. But even so, I didn't sleep good for a few nights.
And he suddenly came out. He said, that was amazing. He said that you've actually picked up on my best friend who died. And his name's Seamus Mulligan. And he said that he would make his presence known to him when he died, somehow. So I must have been the bearer of that news, that he actually is in the castle with his best mate.
The interesting thing for me of all investigations is you can have knocks and bangs and, you know, and feel iced up and all that. It's when you get that interaction going, in terms of interaction, and it's not a taxi going past picking up on your device, or, you know, a corrupted signal. When it's intelligent, that is really mind-blowing, because you know you're actually speaking to something.
In Lep Castle, to give you an idea, I left my Tascam on the window. We all went away. 4 hours, came back, played it back, found a section that had peaked, played it, and it was a child's voice, just like moaning. But it was a child's voice. There was nobody else there. What's that about? And that's what I'm saying. Why and how does that happen? There has to be something, you know? There has to be something, and that's what we're all into, finding out what it is. And we will find it.